The sun crept over the 7 hills of Rome, bathing the city in golden light as shadows of marble columns stretched across quiet courtyards. And somewhere in the heart of that eternal city, a child was watching. Gaius Julius Caesar, not yet a soldier, not yet a name carved into stone, just a boy, watching a world that would one day kneel before him. Born in 100 BCE, Caesar entered the world not with thunder, but with promise. His family name was noble, descended from the gods, they claimed, but their fortune had faded. Still, in Rome, legacy mattered more than wealth, and Caesar carried a name with weight. Even as a child, he was different, quiet, calculating, not cruel, but always curious. While others played games in the streets, Caesar watched the Senate debates from balconies. He listened, he learned, and he dreamed, not of war, but of power. The kind of power that could reshape a republic. At 17, Caesar was already marked by danger. He refused to abandon his uncle Gaius Marius, a political enemy of the ruling faction. For that defiance, he was hunted, stripped of inheritance, forced into hiding. But fate, or perhaps fortune, had other plans. While sailing through the Aegean, Caesar was captured by pirates. They demanded ransom, but Caesar laughed. "You ask for 20 talents, he said. "I'm worth at least 50. For 38 days, he lived among them, not as a prisoner, but as a prince. He joked. He composed poetry, and he warned them, "When I am free, I will come back and crucify every last one of you." He kept that promise. When he returned to Rome, Caesar was no longer just a boy with a name. He was a man with a mission. He charmed the people with speeches, seduced senators' wives, and climbed every rung of the Roman political ladder. He was elected quaestor, then aedile, then praetor, and finally consul. But office was never the goal. It was only the gate. Beyond it lay glory. And in Gaul, Caesar found it. For nearly a decade, Caesar waged war across Gaul. Not as a tyrant, not as a butcher, but as a tactician. He studied terrain like a poet studies rhythm. He read his enemies like a book left open. At Alesia, he faced the impossible, surrounded, outnumbered. And yet, with walls within walls and iron will, he crushed the Gauls. It was not just a military victory, it was the birth of legend. In 49 BCE, Caesar stood at the banks of the Rubicon River. Behind him, his loyal legion. Before him, treason. To cross that river was to declare war on Rome itself. He paused, then whispered, "Alea iacta est." The die is cast, and with that, Rome would never be the same. Caesar marched on Rome not as a conqueror, but as a reformer. He pardoned enemies, reorganized the calendar, gave land to the poor, controlled corruption. He was loved by the people and feared by the Senate. In 44 BCE, they named him dictator for life. And just 1 month later, they stabbed him to death on the Senate floor. Not one knife, but 23, not one assassin, but friends, allies, even proteges. As his blood stained the marble floor, Caesar spoke no grand final words. At least, none history could agree on. But his silence echoed louder than any speech. He had become more than a man. He had become a symbol of ambition, of power, of change. And though they killed him to save the Republic, they ended it instead. And Rome, the city that wrote a legend, will forever bear the name of a single man. But unfortunately, Julius Caesar's name became more than just the shining face of victories and empires. His name also symbolizes a republic, once teetering on the edge of collapse, now forever etched into history as an unyielding pursuit of immortality and dominance. He was so much more than a soldier, a historian, a strategist, a leader, but above all, he was a man who had to pay the price for the decisions he made, betrayed by those he called allies after his death. Those who sought to restore Rome had no idea what they had lost. Because Caesar's legacy was not just about building an empire. It was about elevating Rome, loving its people, uniting them under a single purpose. But, as history shows us, sometimes a leader who dares to go too far ends up standing alone. And that loneliness marked the end of Rome's golden age and the beginning of a new era. The day he died, not just a man died. The very spirit of Rome, the one that swore to conquer the world, died with him. Today, even as we walk the streets of Rome's capital, we can still feel the echoes of Caesar's name. The leader who once wore the crown of the people, who became the most powerful man in government, Caesar's name became immortalized. But immortality was not reserved for his body alone. It was his love for his people, his brilliant mind that shaped Rome, and the sacrifices he made that made him truly eternal. And so, Rome, at perhaps the most pivotal moment in history, did not only mourn Caesar's death, but also the loss of those who had touched the very dream he had ignited, the dream that would live on forever. Perhaps one day, we too, like Caesar, will fight for a great cause. But we must never forget that in order to leave a legacy, it's not just the victories that matter, but the battles, the losses, and above all, the humanity of the journey. Rome, in the hands of those who killed Caesar, seemed like just a broken circle, a piece lost in time. But that circle, in truth, would expand with each passing day. Because Caesar, in Rome, on earth, and in the history of the world, would forever live. Today, as we tell his story, every tale of Caesar not only reminds us of Rome's golden age, but also of the power of a leader, a people, and a civilization that can leave an imprint so deep it lasts forever. And Caesar, the man who had a vision for Rome, is still alive in every corner of our world. His influence still echoes, his name still resounds. The day Caesar's name was etched into history, it did not belong just to him. It became Rome's story. It became the world's story. Because history, like Rome itself, will always remember Caesar. And that Rome, in all its splendor, will continue to live on. And now, in the echo of time, the name Julius Caesar remains immortal as a part of us all.